Origin Blue today after dark before the national championship game. It is Washington. It is Michigan, but it is perhaps two future or one of them being a future Broncos quarterback between JJ McCarthy from Michigan and Michael Penix Jr. from Washington. Mace, this is a huge game for them, but it's a huge game for Broncos fans as well.
Exactly, because sitting with a number 12 overall pick, even if you move up a few spots, you're still very firmly in this second tier of quarterbacks, which is Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix of Oregon, and JJ McCarthy of Michigan. Uh, if the top three, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, if they go in the first five picks, that's probably beyond the Broncos' reach potentially. They could get there, but they're probably sacrificing Pat Surtain to do it. I don't know if that's something that they want to do. So this we're getting to what we would say are more realistic targets, with Penix being in this range because of his injury history, two ACL tears and two shoulder injuries to both shoulders.
Right. And that's the only reason why I've said it before. And if you agree, please let me know. If you disagree, please let me know. But had Michael Penix not had this injury history, he could be number one overall. That's the
Yes.
type of passer he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the shoulder problems and knee problems, both of them. So that's a concern. But when it comes to just being able to be a surgeon as a
Mm-hmm.
passer, that is one Michael Penix Jr. No doubt. McCarthy's a different type of quarterback, though, Mace.
Yeah, Michael Penix Jr. has learned how to be not only capable in the pocket, but highly effective in the pocket. And some of that is the evolution that he's had to take because of the injuries with which he has dealt. You look back at him at Indiana before that second ACL injury, back in 2020 in the COVID year, the running element to his game is much more prominent than it became at Washington. So what you've seen is somebody who has successfully adapted to a new physical reality and had all the traits anyway, but really honed in on them and thus looks like an NFL passer who, by the way, has all the clubs in his bag. He's got the touch throws. He can hit the fades. He'll anticipate breaks, and then in the red zone he can fire darts in a way that, like, for example, I make a Teddy Bridgewater comparison because Teddy Bridgewater, he had all the placement and touch throws down, but he didn't have the ability to fire bullets in the red zone,
Right.
which is
Didn't have the
part of why
cannon.
he's right. Didn't have a cannon. Michael Penix Jr. He's got a cannon when he wants it.
Yeah, and it's the full field reads, and for me,
Mm-hmm.
Mace, like it's the physical stuff, but it's the mental side. Like he has an
Mm-hmm.
understanding of the concepts that
Yeah.
are we don't see that from college quarterbacks very often. Not hardly at all. So with Penix, a very special passer. With McCarthy, I think people are mistaken on McCarthy on a few things. And he is my, I think, sixth quarterback right now, January
Yeah.
8th, as we sit here. People say he's got a weak arm. I think he just has really bad pass placement. I think his mechanics are off. So
Mm-hmm.
he might be the type of guy you draft and let Jameis Winston start for a year or
Yeah.
something.
I think Penix is going to be ready to start really quickly. Maybe even day one. If not day one, I think he's starting by mid October. JJ McCarthy, between the footwork needing refinement, needing to improve his accuracy, which starts in your base, and needing to grow as a pocket passer. He is not a pocket passer primarily. It's a lot of P's as we sit here right now. Thus, he is not ready to step in and play. And if you did put him out there too early, you would be hindering his development and not doing him any favors. Ideally, in a team that drafts, JJ McCarthy, they may not want to hear this. Their fans may not want to hear this because fans can be impatient. But the best thing for JJ McCarthy is if he sits and maybe remember the old Steve McNair development plan?
Oh
He
yeah.
got in 2 games at the end of his rookie season, 2 games at the end of his second year, and then by year 3 he was starting and he was ready to go. That may be the kind of development plan that works best for JJ McCarthy. Something like that. maybe not to the level of Jordan Love in Green Bay sitting for 3 years, but it wouldn't be the worst thing. Whereas Michael Penix Jr., I think, is going to be ready to do some good things right away as a rookie.
Yeah, I'd say you start him week 1, and McCarthy. Was that Chris Chandler that McNair was behind? Is that correct? I believe
I
it
believe
was around the time.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Good old
believe
Chris
so.
Chandler, right?
Yep.
Wasn't he
And I
from the
think
Northwest? Wasn't he a Washington State guy?
he's a
Top of my head.
Washington guy. Oh,
Washington.
oh, they don't want you confusing the dogs with the Cougs, man.
With the
Come
Cougs.
on.
My son graduated from Washington State, so yeah, I know that.
The
I know
Cougs
that.
are Gardner Minshew. Of course, he transferred from East Carolina. Ryan Leaf, they'd prefer not to remember that one.
Right.
Drew Bledsoe. And of course now Cam Ward coming in, right? So
Yeah.
We'll
So
get
there
to
you go.
him too. We promise.
We will. We'll get to all of them right here at Orange and Blue today. This is a special bonus episode today. Joel Klatt on Schlereth and Evans, though, compared JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix. Here's what Klatt had to say about the two.
I think JJ is extremely talented, but I believe that JJ needs another year in school. I think he needs to develop, in particular, the pocket passing game a little bit more. Whereas Penix, I would take him in the top 5. I would take him in the top 5 tomorrow. I think he improves 13, 14, 15 teams next week if he was on their team. Let me put it to you this way, and I know this is going to sound crazy. He's a better version of Tua. Like, if he's on Miami's team right now with Mike McDaniels, they're more dangerous.
Whoa.
That's pretty high praise.
Came in hot there at the end with the Tua comparison. I mean, he's right on. We talked about McCarthy's kind of struggles. I mean, right now, when you watch McCarthy, there are times when the most reliable element of his game is with his legs.
Right.
And that tells me, as a passer, he's not quite ready yet. But yeah, that Tua comp. I mean, whoa. And thinking, okay, 13, 14, 15 teams Tua that Penix, would improve the quarterback room. Fair to say the Broncos are among those teams, wouldn't we say? Right now.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. They're sitting at 12. Yeah. And we have to see what happens with Justin Fields. We have to see what happens with Kyler Murray. But of the 11 teams in front of them, 9 of them need quarterbacks? Yeah. Or could be in the quarterback market? Like, yeah, they're at 12 now. I don't think they're at 12 when the draft happens.
Not if they really want a quarterback.
Right.
That's the thing. Now, that being said, what's going to happen is there are teams that will have a quarterback need that will say, do we want QB 4 or edge 1? You know, one of those teams in there with a quarterback need may say, we're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. We're getting the best receiver prospect in a generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all these things are coming into play as well. I mean, we've talked about where this draft is going to have some strength. It's going to have some edges. It's going to have some tackles.
Tackles, rich. Maybe 6 in the first.
Yeah, and receiver depth is going to be there as well. But tackle in particular is one to keep an eye on in terms of teams early in the draft saying, okay, yeah, we need the QB, but here's a chance to get a franchise pass-protecting tackle. Let's make that happen. And if the Broncos weren't in this spot with the QB, that is something that might tempt them. But I think right now, when you've moved on from Russell Wilson, you're basically putting yourself in a box of saying, we're going to have to go cost-controlled quarterback, and that leads you to the draft.
That means it's a rookie. If you want some more on Michael Penix Jr., we've got more because here's Joel Klatt on just Michael Penix Jr.
I think Michael Penix is way underrated. I think the guy is elite. Now, he's going to get red flags because of his knee injuries. But, man, when you watch him play, he is an elite passer of the football. And here's what I love about the way that he plays. Is one, yes, he's got great wide receivers, and they've got a terrific offensive line that provides him time. But he doesn't panic, even if he does get pressure. Texas pressured him 16 times in that game, and he only took 1 sack. He was a master at manipulating the pocket and getting himself in a position to throw the football down the field and not just run outside of the pocket and try to, dump the ball, but manipulate in order to get himself in a position to threaten the defense down the field with accuracy. And he did that several times.
Several times under duress. And tonight, I don't have a rooting interest, Mace. I just want a good game. And here's the other thing. If Michael Penix balls out against Michigan tonight, 3, I mean, where's he going? 2? There's concern about Caleb Williams. I'll get to it when we get on the All-Star road trip. I've heard some stuff, nothing sinister. Just, scouts have opinions, and they love to share them. But, like, if Penix was number 2 overall, if he balls out tonight, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Again, it's all going to come down to the medicals and how teams evaluate him. That's why it's interesting for the Broncos, because what if the medicals say, okay, yeah, he's not going to be much in 2035. Like he's going to have a maximum career at the quarterback position of, say, 10 to 12 years. Sean Payton isn't going to care about that. Some teams will. Some clubs will. Sean Payton won't. He'll be like, okay, fine. Bring it on.
When that's done, I'll just go get another one.
Yeah. And, well, the other thing also, when you have Sean Payton having just turned 60, the reality is the clock is ticking. And although Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll have coached beyond the age of 70, I'm not sure Sean Payton's coaching beyond the age of 70. So, again, like that. And actually, like, when you're talking about, like, 10 years in football terms, I mean, my gosh, that's like 40 years in real terms, right? I mean, of how often things change. So if the medicals say, okay, yeah, he's going to be done at age 34, there are some teams that would say, okay, pass. I don't believe the Broncos and Sean Payton would be among those teams.
Right. So we'll see coming up tonight. Mace, any final thoughts before we wrap up this extra edition of Orange and Blue today?
Just a college football thought. It's nice to see a championship game without the Southeastern Conference, respectfully to those who are SEC aficionados. And next year, this is a conference game because nothing makes sense in conference alignment in college football and college sports anymore. And so absolutely bonkers that Washington and Michigan are going to be in the same conference. But here we are. What a way for the Pac-12 to go out, by the way, if it goes out with a Washington Huskies national championship.
Right.
Yeah.
Seems kind of fitting. This is the first year since 2008 that a player that began and ended his career at Alabama does not have a national title.
Wow.
It's been a while.
There's another aspect to this game as well, and it is that on the Michigan sideline, Jim Harbaugh may be coaching his final game, and it seems like his destination in the NFL is going to be in the AFC West. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of Jim Harbaugh. And remember, he was the coach that the Broncos really wanted out of the gates last year. Jim Harbaugh was the first choice. So, but hey, it's not about being the first choice, it's about being the last choice, the final choice, right? But that's going to make an interesting dynamic, especially if the Broncos can't get turned around with Sean Payton in charge. And if Jim Harbaugh goes, let's say Jim Harbaugh goes to the Chargers and coaches Justin Herbert. Well,
you're seeing the guy Elway wanted and seeing the guy that Greg Penner wanted, and Justin Herbert, the quarterback, and Jim Harbaugh, the coach.
And then the other side of it is if Jim Harbaugh goes to the Raiders, then I'd say there's a very good chance that pick number 13 is going to be JJ McCarthy.
I would say that's correct.
So this is going to be this is not a typical national championship game to watch, like, from a Broncos perspective. This is one that's really got a lot of intrigue to it. And I think over at Broncos headquarters tonight, they're going to be paying close attention to what they see.
To be a fly on the wall of that room. Yep. He is Andrew Mason. You follow him at the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey. OBT is a BFD. We appreciate you. Help us out on YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell.
So you never
Never miss a vid. That's right. He's Mace. I'm Cease. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned and stay frosty.